Yo, what the fuck is up, Kyle? It's the first episode of our podcast. We got bored one morning, and this is what came out. So, hi. We're gonna introduce
What's
ourselves.
poppin', Jimbo?
What's poppin', Jimbo?
Hello.
Hi.
Salutations.
I'm Noel.
I'm Sam.
I'm Gavin.
River.
That was so long. It was
Just a
I'm
long
River.
pause. I'm River.
I'm River. So anyways, we need to spin the wheel. Spin that wheel.
Spin the
Spin
wheel.
that wheel.
Spin the
Spin the wheel. Let's see, what are we doing? Oh boy.
Oh no, what is
Story time.
it? No!
Story time?
Story time.
Okay.
Choose a topic.
You know, technically,
Um,
I could just, like... Technically, if I read a Florida Man article, that would count as
That would
story
count
time.
as story
That would
time.
count as
That
story
could
time.
count as story
It's not
time.
my story time, but it's story time.
Story time.
Yeah.
I'm wrong. Exactly. So, you know, we were in the group chat, and we were looking up Florida articles and shit, you know, as you do. And we found this cool little thing. Here's the title of the article. Bloody intoxicated Florida man found passed out on top of Uber driver, video shows. Driver says suspect sucker punched him, climbed into driver's seat. So, in DeLand, Florida, what kind of abbreviation? FLA? What kind of abbreviation for Florida is that? What the fuck? Okay.
Apparently,
So,
an abbreviation?
an abbreviation, I guess.
I don't.
A Volusia
Florida man abbreviation.
Volusia. I don't know. A Volusia County deputy encountered an unusual scene on New Year's Day when he found a 260-pound intoxicated man lying on top of his 77-year-old Uber driver, both in the driver's seat of a minivan. Oh my god, this is already crazy.
It's Florida man. What do you expect?
Okay, yeah, true, you got a point. The deputy was flagged down at 12:43 p.m. by a driver on North Kepler Road who said there were two men involved in a fight in a Honda minivan up the road. Oh, so it's a Honda. Can I say that? Probably.
Honda, sponsor us.
Honda, please.
No.
When the deputy arrived, he found the driver's side door open with two sets of legs sticking out toward the road. The deputy said he found Michael Garrett, 48, face down on top of the 77-year-old Uber driver. Both the victim and suspect had bloody faces, according to the report. Help me, please, get him off me," the driver can be heard saying in the deputy's body camera video. I'm not watching this.
Should we
video.
watch the video?
Should we watch the video?
I'd
Should
probably,
watch the
maybe
video.
not.
No.
Probably not.
Warning, the video below contains graphic content. Yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah,
Boy.
we don't want to get canceled on our first
Our first
episode.
The
That would
victim
be
later told
very
deputies he's an
unfortunate.
Uber driver and he was called up to pick up Garrett on North Kentucky Avenue in DeLand. Okay, well, I don't think I can say that. After he turned onto North Kepler Road, Garrett asked him to stop. When the driver pulled over, he said Garrett reached up and sucker punched him in the face, according to authorities. Garrett then attempted to climb from the rear passenger seat toward the driver's seat, according to the victim's account. A struggle ensued between the driver and Garrett, and both men punched each other, according to the arrest report. When the deputy arrived, he pulled Garrett off the victim. The deputy attempted to put Garrett into the back of his patrol car. However, video of the encounter shows Garrett slurring his words and resisting the deputy's commands while repeatedly saying, "I am complying. I am complying." I only got one laugh out of that? Damn. "But why are you stopping me and why are you restraining me this way?" Garrett says. "Because you're on top of some man. You're both covered in blood," the deputy replies. "No, you won't tell me why," Garrett says. "I just told you why," the deputy says. This is Florida, man. This is Florida.
Look at his headshot.
That's that. Wait, I'm not that. Oh my god. The deputy led the stumbling and slurring Garrett to the patrol car and attempted to put him in the back of the car, but Garrett refused to get in the cruiser. You're under arrest, by the way. For what? Okay, yep, nope. See, I'm sending this picture to the group chat, and we are putting this this is being edited into the video. I don't care what you're saying. It's being
Oh
edited.
God.
This headshot.
Do you guys mean mugshot?
Oh yeah,
I mean,
mugshot.
it's
Florida
still
man,
a
right?
headshot.
Well,
I mean,
it's-
technically, right?
It's still a headshot.
So the encounter
Yeah,
left
but
the deputy
the proper
and his...
term is mugshot.
Nobody cares
Yeah,
about your
whatever.
technicalities. The encounter left the deputy and his patrol car smeared with the suspect's blood and snot.
Ugh.
Ew.
That poor man.
Gross.
The video ends with Garrett sitting on the ground crying and yelling the police is corrupt.
That's true.
Man's got a point. I mean, that George Floyd shit was pretty messed up. We're not gonna
Hey,
get into
dude,
that now.
We don't.
can't get into
about
that
Florida man,
now.
not politics.
This
isn't about
isn't-
politics.
This is story time, not politics.
Garrett is charged with battery on a person 65 years or older, battery on law enforcement, criminal mischief, assault on a law enforcement officer, and assault on a medical care provider. Garrett also earned the title of Sheriff Mike Chitwood's first scumbag of the week for 2020.
Okay,
Well, that's
So-
fun.
the guy was arrested, correct?
Yeah.
Nah, he just got a headshot taken of him and then he was let free. Yes, he got fucking arrested.
Okay. When was
Should
this?
we read the other one?
Is there another one?
Yeah,
The Spider-Man.
I want to read this one.
Okay, you can read that
Oh,
one.
the Spider-Man one.
Okay. So, we have another Florida Man article. This one is titled, Florida Man Robs Store Dressed as Spider-Man. So, in Castleberry, Florida man is behind bars after robbing a store disguised as Spider-Man. Deputies said a man showed up unmasked to a Winn-Dixie Wine and Spirits store in Castleberry, Florida on January 2nd, 2020. He leaves, but then he returns. This time, he's wearing a Spider-Man mask. Police said Edward Wilburn, the robber, stole nearly $150 in liquor and $420 in Newport cigarettes.
420. Funny number.
Who needs $420 worth of cigarettes?
Me.
My God, guy's gonna die of lung cancer. Wilburn was arrested back in January. Wilburn is a repeat offender, according to the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. So yeah, that was the article.
That
I
was a
honestly
short
thought
article.
it would.
I thought that
I
one,
know, I
that
thought
one
it'd
would
be
be
longer.
longer.
Okay,
That was kind of boring.
Well-
let's that will. What are we talking about now?
Well,
Wait,
that
I
No.
guess story
took up-
times from one person.
Hold on. No, yeah, both of you guys need to tell a story about yourself, or if you can find an article quick enough.
Well, that took up 10 minutes of our recording time.
Yeah.
Another 6 to go.
Alright.
I'm trying to think of any stories. I don't really have any stories. My life is boring as fuck.
Okay.
Quarantine is,
I can start with one. I
and
can start with one.
quarantine's, like, just
Yeah, you
fucking
start off
30
and
years.
I'll
Yes,
try and think of one.
So knowing this is story time, I'm assuming it has to be something embarrassing.
I mean, not
um,
necessarily.
It can be. Doesn't have to be.
It can
Can
be.
be.
Okay. So about I'm gonna close my door for this. So approximately probably 5 months ago.
Approximately 5 months, 5 minutes, and 27 seconds ago. I'm counting the seconds.
My hometown sponsors this thing called Jamboree. And it's basically like this little festival thing that's about country music and bluegrass.
Ew.
Yeah, I know. But basically, me and my cousins, we were riding our bikes. I was on my skateboard, and we ended up going on this guy's property, which we didn't know was private at the time. And without hesitation, the guy pulled out his flip phone and called the cops on us. And my dad works for the city, so he had to bail me out without any money. So yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Gavin,
have
next.
a story that went on for 3 years.
Oh, that's
Boy.
Alright,
Take the
so
3 years to
boy.
tell it.
3 years ago, actually maybe 4 now, I moved to where I live now. And I had to live in an apartment complex, right? So
Mhm.
there were a bunch of kids, and we all hung out, I guess.
I guess.
And then I lived next to this really, really old lady, and I think like her daughter was living with her or
Damn,
something.
don't call her out like that. What the fuck?
And she's a bitch. So every time me and my friends would just hang out in the courtyard, which is where I lived and where the old lady lived.
Mm.
Every time we hung out there, she would call the police on us
Why?
because I don't know. She would just come out, yell at us, and then call the police.
Disturbing the peace.
Yeah, we were literally just standing there talking about what we would do for the day, and she just came
Playing
out,
Pokemon.
stared at us, took pictures of us and videos, and sent them to the police
Pedophile.
3
Dude,
times.
What was she on?
All the
She was on
drugs.
something else.
She was on all the drugs.
She was on
All of
everything all
them.
at
She was on
once.
all of them.
That
Yeah.
fucking spitball.
Alright, so that's my story. It's not great, but you know,
Not,
The
it's
story.
not a very
You next.
interesting story. But River's next.
River.
River.
Okay, Noelle.
Okay, well,
River, think of story.
I'm really trying to think of a story. This is hard.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I have.
I can tell another story while you guys
I have
come
a
up
very
with one.
okay. This is a very short story, not a very long one. But so my school does this thing called breakfast, you know, as most schools do, and so I go to the cafeteria to eat breakfast, and I'm like,
Mhm.
"Yo, this is a great breakfast," and so I'm sitting there eating my breakfast, just vibing.
I'm sorry, did you just say you actually like school food?
I mean, the breakfast is good.
Okay, the school
The
breakfast food is
were
good.
good. They were so good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I can agree.
So, I'm just sitting there vibing, eating my breakfast, and then my math teacher comes up and she's like, "Do I need to call your parents?" And I'm like, "Bro, what the fuck? What the? I'm eating," and she's like, "If you don't get out of here, I'm gonna call your dad." And I was like, "Bro, I'm trying to eat my. Do you see the plate?" And I will call your. I'm trying. I will call your. I'm trying to eat. Or I will call your dad.
I am trying to eat my pancakes.
And like that's basically the story. And then yeah, fairly certain
Why?
she was senile.
I think I was actually there when that happened.
I think you were, yeah. And she was I'm fairly certain she was senile. She was like, I don't know, fucking 60 or some shit. She was old as hell.
Fucking boomer.
Yeah.
Boomer.
No, it's because I took too long
Boomer.
to eat breakfast. Is why. Because I was sitting there.
That's
for-
stupid.
I
was
remember the
taking up-
fucking limits. Oh, I hated the breakfast limit.
You're still eating.
There's not a breakfast limit. It's just like, oh, you've been sitting here for 10 minutes. And like, I'm fairly certain I was sitting alone, or at least with some friends, but whenever she came up to me, I think I was alone. So like, she was like, "You've been talking to everybody." Like, no, no, I don't talk to any. I'm sitting on. I sit alone because nobody likes to talk
Even
to
when
me.
you sat with your friends, you barely ever talk to anyone.
Yeah. Whenever I have food, I eat the food. I don't talk.
I have another story from like the exclusive breakfast thing.
Oh boy.
I come in there like at 7 a.m. or whatever, however early I had to get there, and I was just sitting there trying to drink my milk, and I don't know what happened, but I suddenly spilled chocolate milk all over myself.
You just intentionally pour chocolate milk all over yourself.
No,
Oh man.
no.
How I hate accidentally
That reminds me of
spilling
a
chocolate
time.
milk.
That reminds me of a time when I drank milk so fast that it sprayed out of my nose. And then there was another time where I chugged like 7 jugs of milk and
7
almost threw up.
jugs?
Yeah.
Jugs or cartons?
Oh, cartons. Well, we call them jugs.
What? You call him
I was gonna
Jugs,
say,
bro? What
No.
the
I
fuck?
call him Jugs.
You're not okay.
No, I'm not.
Catherine drunk 7
Calling
jugs
him
of milk.
Jugs.
My God, is your stomach okay?
No. And you want to know something worse? I'm lactose
Sure.
intolerant.
Oh no.
No.
Oh God,
Why would you
your
do
poor
that?
My
school
friends-
toilets.
Uh-huh. My friends told me to do it, but then I went
And
a
you
little too far.
listened?
Yeah. They just told me to like chug 1, but instead I chugged 7 because I wanted to assert dominance.
I wanted to assert dominance.
I will assert dominance by drinking this
7
liquid.
jugs of milk.
Yes.
Yes.
I will
I
assert
almost threw up on
dominance
a kid.
by drinking this this white-colored substance.
You should have thrown
Probably
up
like a
on the
mix
pig.
of
I will
brown.
assert dominance by drinking this cow's udder milk.
I will assert dominance by drinking this cow's cum.
Oh god. No.
Uh,
No. Milk.
Am I wrong? Yes, I am very wrong.
Yes,
Okay,
you are
see-
very wrong.
see, this is why this podcast isn't meant for kids.
Oh yeah.
Nah, yeah.
Yeah, see
Holy
that's why I
Jesus.
have a explicit content warning up in the corner if you haven't seen it already.
That's good.
Good.
I can't see it, but fine.
Yeah, I can't see it either. I don't
Well-
think we're supposed to.
Well, gee, maybe that's because it's not. Ooh.
Yeah, that's.
Okay.
Hold on, I have to answer
So-
this.
You have to answer a call.
Oh. You.
Well, okay, hang on, y'all. We'll
Alright.
be
It's
back
really
in a
short.
minute.
It's gonna be really
We'll be
short.
back in a minute. Yo, what the fuck is up, Kyle? We're back. Had to take a little water bathroom break. Say hi, everybody.
Hi.
Salutations.
Konnichiwa.
Sam, stop being all fancy and shit and just say hi. You fucking weirdo.
Salutations.
Hola.
Say fucking
Greetings.
All right, are we spinning the wheel again?
Let's
Spin the wheel. Spin the
Wait, can I
wheel.
do it?
Spin the wheel.
Yeah, spin the wheel.
Can I do it?
Yeah.
Spin the wheel.
right.
Spin
Let me
the
find it.
wheel. Spin the wheel. Spin the wheel. Spin the wheel.
Ah, I'm spinning the wheel.
Spin the wheel. Spin the wheel.
When is being
Spin the
spilled?
wheel.
Spilled.
Spin the wheel.
Spin.
Spin the wheel.
And we got conspiracy theory.
Oh boy. Guys,
Gee.
the birds work for the bourgeoisie.
I'm
So, have you heard
going
of the
to enjoy this.
parallel universe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah,
I
they just
actually
released
spent like a good 30 minutes talking to my boyfriend about that shit. I was like, cause he texted me. He was like, "Yo, did you see that NASA found like a parallel universe and shit?" And then we just talked about like the possibility of like humans actually being able to go into the parallel universe if like if the entrance would be even large enough for us to do that, and if we did, would that fuck up our timeline because it's supposed to be like a backwards timeline, isn't it?
Time
Yeah,
goes
it's supposed to be
backwards.
like
Yeah.
futuristic.
So
to...
if we did anything, it would fuck with the timeline because
It would
technically,
screw with us as well.
Yeah,
It could technically
technically it's
reverse our
time-
aging process.
technically
Yeah.
it's time travel. So all the
Basically.
paradoxes that go with time travel will also go with that. So
Yeah.
it's a bunch of shit.
The universe is a time
Wait,
machine.
so if
Wow.
it's going in reverse, does that mean that people who are old come and have died come back, and then when they supposedly die because they're going back in time, they go into their mom?
They go back into the womb, apparently. And then that's where they
That's
die.
weird.
I don't want to
Well,
think about
no,
that.
they
I
don't
really
look-
don't want to think about that. That is,
But like, is everything reversed, or is it just
or is it just the
the
aging process?
world?
Or
Is it
It's
not
entirely
humans?
time.
Is
Is the
the
aging
world?
process the same, or is time backwards?
You start at like 100 years old and then just go down?
Or is the aging process the same? Like you get birth anyways, but like it's just the time. Like
Yeah.
okay, so what I'm trying to say.
Imagine
is,
having-
so when say okay. Let's see here. Say you were born in 1446, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Such a specific number.
yeah, okay, shut up. So, say you were born in 1446 for this world, right? But since that is so early on in like the world's timeline per se, like it's 1446 was not that long ago in the grand scheme of things. So
Yeah.
if you have that, and then you have like so it's moving backwards. If it's just moving backwards, then the people in that universe, like the species in that universe, would still count it up normally. So the year 1446 would be a different year than 1446 in this universe. So would you still be born in that timeline? Like, would you be born in the same year, or would you be born in the same time period?
That boggles my mind.
Because if you were born in the same year, think of how much that would fuck with our universe. Like, say
Yeah.
Einstein
Yeah,
was
that-
born... No, say Einstein was born in, like, fucking... Like, 2,000 years from now, when we have, like, flying cars and shit everywhere. Like, that would fuck with us so much. Because then we wouldn't be able to have the... Because he would be born in, like, 4,000, and we wouldn't have the time. He wouldn't be able to make the light bulb. Wait, Einstein didn't make the light bulb.
That was
did he?
Thomas Edison.
Yeah, that was Thomas Edison.
Wait.
He wouldn't.
So-
Einstein wouldn't be able to do the cool little things that he did.
Okay, hold
Like
on.
build an atomic
So,
bomb.
I don't. Did Einstein build the?
I think he
Yeah, he
built
did.
a bomb.
He
built the
figured out
atomic bomb. He built the
Yeah,
nuke.
so I was right.
Didn't he figure out the
Okay.
the theory of relativity? Relativity.
E equals
Maybe.
MC square.
Yeah.
Einstein helped solve the equation of nuclear fusion and ended up helping make the atom or the nuke.
Yeah.
Okay, main thing I want to know is in this parallel universe, if the aging process doesn't go backwards, say you start very young and such, except years go backwards, but you keep on aging like we, which is a very confusing thought. But can you imagine?
You just go
Say
back
that
and your
happens.
mom's fully sized.
Say that Einstein or Stephen Hawking was born in 1927, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Hold on.
Wow, I was late on that, uh-huh.
Wait, hold on. So, if they are in the near future, or the far future, or whatever, do they think that old stuff is cool, or are they just trying to develop it down because it's too much?
Is it pronounced
Say
data
that
or
again?
data?
Okay.
Like, elaborate.
Yeah, because you kind of...
Cars.
Take cars.
So they would probably have flying cars or whatever futuristic thing is for cars, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Would they
like I
go
was
back to
saying-
old
Sam,
cars?
no, Sam, Gavin's talking.
Sorry.
Would they
Go
go
ahead.
back to
That's a
old
good
cars?
question.
It's fine. Would they just go back to old cars because they can, or are they trying to... It's diluted. Because maybe flying cars are too much.
I mean, we're going
Or is
back-
it just because they can?
People are really interested in old cars just because they can. Like, because
True.
it's a cool vintage aesthetic. They're cool cars.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel
Yeah.
like that's what they would do. Like they wouldn't get rid of the flying cars completely, but they would also like have the vintage cars around. Like, oh yo, look at this sick fucking 2020
1967 Volkswagen Beetle.
No, look at this 2016 Honda Fit, yo. Like
Again
Yeah.
with the Honda.
the fucking Honda.
Well,
Do you
like I
guys
was
think
going back
there
to
will still
saying,
be like the same car companies like a
That's a good
1,000
point.
years from now?
That is a good point.
if
Tesla's gonna. I feel like Tesla's just gonna.
Tesla might just take over, but I feel like Ford
Yeah.
has such a big industry that like I don't think anything could take down Ford except like General Motors.
Yeah.
I feel like
Chevy and shit.
Tesla will be the first to create flying cars and
Tesla will
shit.
be the first because
flying
They-
cars already exist.
yeah, they went to
Yeah.
I mean, fucking Tesla went to the moon. Fucking Elon Musk, SpaceX went to the moon a couple of days ago.
I mean,
I mean,
yeah.
not to the moon. No, they didn't go to the moon. Nobody's been to the moon for like a good 40 years or so. They went to the ISS. There we go. That's the place I'm looking for.
Yeah, the International Space Station.
Yeah.
We know what the ISS is.
If I could go back to what I was saying, if the aging process still stayed the same, but the years did go in reverse, and so does time, but the aging process does stay the same. Could you imagine Einstein being born in something like 1930, 1920? I might be wrong, but being born in that time, he would go backwards, but keep on aging. So when he's fully grown, say he's like 50 years old in 1876. Wouldn't that mean that if he still had the same IQ level or a higher one for that time, could you imagine him start teaching his methods to everyone like he did in 1940s and 1930s, and they end up making flying cars in the 1920s? Can you imagine
I feel
what
like if they made
our
flying
year
cars,
would be
it would
like?
take a little bit longer. So I feel like it would probably be like 1940s, maybe 50s, possibly even 60s.
Maybe, but then again, if that did happen, year 2020, what do you think technology would have?
Too much. There's so much shit the technology can do like now.
Yeah.
Like it has
Mhm.
evolved so much in the past like
Yeah.
40 years.
Exactly.
And like
Yeah.
you basically just it's basically another version of real life. It's just real
It
life
is.
but with no consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's scary to think about like where this could all go. Like, we could just become a civilization based on technology. And
Yeah.
wow,
I mean, pretty much.
while that may not seem like such a bad thing, it's still, humans need social interaction. We're
Yeah.
But what
social
if-
creatures. We need social interaction.
What
That's
if
just
we,
part of the
you know how like VR chat, right?
yeah.
But what if instead of just multiple servers and whatever, it would be wherever you are living right now, currently, but in a virtual space, and you wouldn't even know. It looks so
So,
realistic.
Like with Ready Player One,
Yeah,
like something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, something like
That
that.
still kind of scares
Yeah.
me, because the
I know,
thought
yeah.
of just like, would you walk around? Would you have a treadmill set up or some form of, like, I don't know, fucking future technology that just lets you feel like you're walking around? Or would you just be sitting down? Or would you actually just walk around? Like, would you have a wireless, like, headset just on your head at all times and you just walk around? Because if you had that, then what the fuck is the purpose of that? Unless it's some form of, like, dystopian future where the real world has just been fucked up to the point where we have to live in a virtual world, otherwise we just can't.
Yeah.
True.
I feel like the scary part of that would be like if somehow it got stuck and we all were just stuck in the virtual reality world and we couldn't tell the difference.
Well, it would have to
Yeah,
run on,
that's what I'm
the
saying.
thing is, it would
Yeah.
have to run on some form of computer too. So if that computer crashed,
Your whole world, it would look like you died,
the
basically.
entire world would just go dead. There would be
Yeah.
it's an
If
entire
your
blackout to
computer
the entire
crashed.
world. We would have to take out our headsets, and because I feel like at that point, after so long, if we have created a computer that can, like, recreate the entire world, I feel like it takes a lot for it to crash. But
Oh, yeah.
if it crashes, I assume that it'll be, like, far into the process of, like, people doing this and shit. So there will
Yeah.
be, like, an entire, like, maybe multiple generations that have been raised on, oh, yo, this button does this button does this. And if the entire thing crashes and it takes a while to get it up and running again, people will eventually take their headsets off, and they will have no idea how to work around in the real world, and the human species will just go extinct.
Yeah.
Because they will have no
Just-
idea how to support
About that.
themselves.
Speaking about that, if technology were to get so advanced it was like Ready Player One, like if computers crashed, the computers or the coding of the game that they were playing, such as, you know, what we're talking about.
Yeah.
If that happened, they would spend so much time in that game that they wouldn't know how to converse with other people, to socially interact. Hell, even step outside and go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
But if that computer does crash, and if it is like Ready Player One, and the consoles are to your brains and your entire body and your neural senses and your veins,
You're
and
fucked.
Yeah.
if that crashes, that's gonna fry your entire body,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna die.
Because at that
Yeah.
point, you're basically just a robot.
Basically,
Mhm.
you're basically
You're
just
a
a
robot
mindless person.
You're it's like, you're not mindless per se, but the fact that at any point someone could just go to wherever the fuck it's being stored and just go, no, then
Exactly.
that's scary, because there could be some kid that's like, maybe he was like born with a birth defect or some shit. Maybe there was just this one line and it was like an actual human person, like with human veins, with blood running through their veins. They have their own thought process. They're not some form of robot that's obsessed with technology. They can actually, they're just like, ooh, what does this button do? And then they accidentally turn the entire thing off, and then they are the only person left on Earth.
That's
Yeah.
scary to think about.
That's a scary
Just
thought.
accidentally killing everybody in the world.
Just fuck up
And then
so
the
bad,
thing
God.
is, you're going to die alone. There is no that's it. Like, you're going to die alone. There will probably
You can't
be,
repopulate the earth at
I
all.
feel
There's
like
there's
at
no
this
hope.
point, I feel like at this point in our evolution, we've spoiled ourselves to the point of where we don't know how to go back to hunting and gathering. So
Exactly.
I assume that in like 2,000 years, Machines will do like all the food for us, all the survival stuff.
Mm-hmm. People are greedy. They just
Yeah.
want more and more and more. And I think that's how we're gonna kill
We're gonna
everybody.
kill our entire species just because. Ooh, what's in it for me? How can this?
Yeah, what do I
like,
get
it's
from
not-
this?
It's not like, oh, yo, how can this is this gonna affect other people? No, it's what do I get out of this?
Mm-hmm.
It's never,
It's like-
what can this dude get or what can this dude get? It's always, yo, me, always me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not how can this benefit others? How can this benefit me specifically?
Yeah.
Get me.
And sometimes,
Get me higher into the ranks.
Sometimes, rarely,
Yeah.
but sometimes, how can this hurt others? You know,
Yeah.
like how can this like raise me
How can-
by hurting other people, like lowering other people,
Yeah. And people who
which is terrifying.
are not really, let's just say not great, try to target smaller minorities and just random people
Oh,
just
you know,
so
like
they can
Trump's
get a
doing to
little
us
bit
right
higher.
now? You know, like Trump's doing to us right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not politics.
No, wasn't there like a thing? Well, I don't care if we're getting into politics. It's just the
True.
entire
Hold
point.
on.
It's controversial.
Controversial topic.
Wasn't,
Before-
hang on.
Before we leave the conspiracy side of this episode, can we bring up one more conspiracy?
Mm-hmm.
And that is
9/11, obviously.
9/11. Swear to God.
So, I'm assuming you've also heard about the conspiracy theory that 9/11 was covered up by our government, which
Mm-hmm.
is
Yeah.
very believable if you look into.
I
So
haven't
the
really
U.S.
looked
hasn't
into it.
had really a
Actually,
national
not heard about
tragedy.
this.
No,
I've heard about
Huh?
it, but I haven't looked
So-
into it.
Mm-hmm.
the
Me too.
U.S., the United States of America, or hell, the world hasn't had such a big national tragedy since the JFK's assassination, basically,
Yeah. When was that?
and such. That was 1970s or
1970s.
1960s, but
I
yeah.
think it was sometime. Yeah.
So
1900s.
a poll has found that 42% of Americans believe that the government and the 9/11 Commission concealed or refused to investigate critical evidence that contradicts their official explanation of the September 11th attack. Why had the military failed to intercept the hijacked planes? Many people ask. Had the government issued a stand-down order to minimize interference with a secret plan to destroy the buildings and blame it on Islamic terrorists? In 2005, Popular Mechanics published a massive investigation of similar claims and responses to them. The reporting team found that the North American Aerospace Defense Command, or NORAD, now have a history of having fighter jets prepped and ready to intercept aircraft that had gone off route. And while the team found no evidence that the government had planned the attacks, lack of proof has rarely stopped conspiracy theorists. That's the thing.
What-
Our government can always send,
no.
whenever
our
a plane
government-
goes out.
Okay. There's this
Hold
cool
on,
thing.
hold on.
Oh, sorry.
Hold on. It's fine. Our government has cameras inside of planes. They have cameras everywhere.
Practically.
Even when 9/11 happened, they had the technology to have cameras everywhere to exist in the United States,
Yeah.
even in planes. So, if something was bad, even the pilot, before the flight attendant could come in, they could sneak in into the cockpit, tell the pilot, hey, there's some people hijacking the plane or such. I'm not saying that's what would happen, but even the pilot could figure that out just by all the screaming and such.
Yeah.
And they would
Mhm.
have enough time to send a code to people down below on land.
Yeah. There's
And
just
warn them
there's
about
so
it.
many things.
And that's the thing. Our government would instantly try to stop it.
yeah.
But that's the thing. Nothing really was done about it.
The thing is, yeah, like
They had the power to stop it,
Our
but they
government-
chose not to.
is
They had the extreme power to stop it. Even
Yeah.
while the Pentagon got attacked by a plane, like no one did anything. The Pentagon is one of the most secure places to
yeah.
exist.
I'm surprised that they were able to like get to the Pentagon and actually like crash into it. Like
I
Yeah.
know, right?
the fact that is like one of the most heavily secured most defended known spot in America. And the fact that just a simple commercial airline jet hijacked by hijacked, I guess, air quotes, could be they have to have some form of protection on there. There has to be some form of anti-aircraft gun. They couldn't have been oh no, we're only gonna have ground attacks. No, there's clearly gonna be air attacks. Air attacks are one of the smarter attacks. So they would clearly have defenses for that shit.
They had anti-rifle guns stationed everywhere inside the Pentagon before the plane even hit. A few hours when someone reported that, the World Trade Center had been hit, I'm pretty sure they would have every single place in the United States that's a major place, such as the WHO or said the Pentagon or the White House, heavily protected from bottom to top with
wasn't there
air
one
security and also ground security.
Wasn't there one heading for the White House?
No.
Yeah.
It's a major place and people would think to protect that place, and same with the Pentagon and such. The Pentagon is one of the most important places to exist in the United States.
I thought there was one heading for the White House, but it got actually it got crashed by one of the passengers because one of the passengers got one of the hijackers and crashed the plane.
Oh, did it? Okay, I'd never heard about that. But
yeah.
I believe you.
But the thing is, it's kind of scary to think about the fact that our own government, could have been planning an assassination on our president.
Yeah.
That could have been an assassination.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the thing. Even if they were heading towards the White House to kill Bill,
Bill Clinton, I did not have sexual
Yeah,
relations with that woman.
That's the thing.
That dude.
He wasn't at the White House at the time.
Oh, okay.
He was at a children's school reading to them whenever his security guard came up to him and told him being hit.
Honestly, would have been funny if they crashed into the school.
Noel.
No. No.
Noel. Alright.
They're
Okay,
just kids.
So, yeah, I feel like we can move off the conspiracies part,
They're
so
just
the government
kids.
doesn't come to our houses and shoot us.
Right,
But,
I'm
Yeah.
not in the mood for getting swatted,
I'm ready to get swatted.
Me too.
Come at me, I got my guitar strap. We'll whip you with that
Come
shit.
at me, man. I have a baseball bat. I can take you against an AK-47.
I'll use the baseball bat as a shield.
Look, that's like some samurai jack.
I use the sheer power of bread.
I'll use my amp from 1987 as a shield. Nothing gets through that shit.
Okay. So, now that we've moved on to both of our, sessions, I feel like it's time to spin the wheel again.
Alright.
Spin the wheel! Spin the wheel!
Spin the
Spin
wheel!
the wheel!
Spin the wheel!
wheel!
Spin the wheel!
Spin the wheel! Spin the wheel! Spin the wheel!
Noel,
Spin it!
I'm spinning it.
Uh,
It'll load.
wheel.
Ba-da-ba-ba-dum. It landed on No, not politics. It landed on conspiracies again. Oh boy! Politics!
What?
Oh boy!
Boy.
We have to
Here we go.
Woo.
Okay. Y'all, I gotta go take a bathroom break real quick. I will be back in a second. Okay?
Alright.
Yo, what the fuck is up, Kyle? We're back. We just be vibing, you know? And we spun the wheel. We got politics. I think I said that before.
Politics.
But we got politics.
Politics.
Oh boy, what are we gonna talk
Our
about?
favorite topic.
In case we didn't have another reason for our government to come to our houses and swat us.
Right, in case we didn't
Yeah.
have another reason for
Yeah.
In case we already
for our
didn't piss them
podcast to
off.
get taken down before it's even started.
Yeah. The first episode. Cancelled.
Okay, so, yeah, after what all is going on,
I talk about the riots and protests that are going on.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
we haven't really covered this because I guess it's kind of a sensitive topic and not really a thing that, like, people are talking about it a lot, but it's not really a thing that comes up in common conversation.
Like, many people
Yeah.
have gotten killed in these protests.
And yeah, a lot of people have gotten killed in these protests. And if you don't know, this black man named George Floyd was, I guess, honestly, I don't know how to describe it, brutally murdered. Probably, like, this is not. It's
A few articles said crushed to death,
right.
and a few other ones said suffocated.
Have you ever?
Okay,
tried,
so
you know how a
I
neck
can
is,
tell
like,
them.
round, and how hard it is to kneel on a round thing.
Okay, I'll tell them the entire story about George Floyd.
Okay, you do that.
So, George Floyd was a middle-aged man. He was a very normal guy, didn't have really any offenses on his criminal record. George Floyd ended up going to the grocery store, and the cashier had thought that he used a counterfeit $20 bill, which was proven that he didn't. But they called the cops, and he got arrested. Well, almost got arrested. But
You would have
they were saying that he wasn't resisting arrest, even if you look at the video footage, which we are not going to show because it is very sensitive and
it's bad.
just terrible.
Yeah.
But if you watch the video footage, you can see that he is clearly not resisting arrest, and the reason he died was because his windpipe was crushed, because some shithead named Derek ended up kneeling on his neck because they thought that he was trying to run away, even though he just tripped.
If you have friends named
And-
Derek, I'm very sorry, but all Dereks are douchebags, and no one can change my mind.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever
But
met a
George
Derek
Floyd-
that's an asshole. That's not an asshole.
George Floyd ended up tripping, and they thought that he was trying to run away. Well, no, never mind. They didn't think he was trying to run away. They just wanted a reason to kill him. Mm-mm.
I wouldn't go as
Okay.
far as to say that, per se, but I wouldn't say you're wrong, but I wouldn't go that far.
True. Okay, but they thought that he was trying to run away, correct?
Yeah.
And basically, the officer who was leading him put him on his chest, which is very hard, which is extremely difficult to breathe if you're on your chest against something extremely hard, such as cement. But
Yeah, asphalt.
So,
cement, shit
yeah,
like that.
asphalt. But
It's hard as fuck.
apparently, George Floyd had gone into a heart attack about 5 seconds before he was slammed right into the ground and had a knee digging right into his neck. He ended up saying it to the officer who had his knee on his neck, "I can't breathe," approximately 16 times. And his windpipe was crushed against the floor, and George Floyd was killed.
It was 8
Now, I'm
minutes.
assuming everyone has heard about the protests that are going on, about the
And the
entire,
riots.
And
yeah.
the riots, yeah.
the entire east coast
Yeah.
of the United States is on fire at the
I
moment.
wouldn't call them. I mean, sure, some of them are peaceful protests, but every peaceful protest, like, I'm not saying that they weren't peaceful. They were peaceful in the beginning, and then eventually they just started, like, once the police were like, uh-oh, rubber bullet, go bang bang, you know, everybody everybody just started, like, setting fire to things, breaking windows. Like, Nashville,
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have seen the shit, like, in Nashville, but
God.
Broadway in Nashville has, like, fucking windows broken out. I think there are some places, like, boarding up for that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Some guy tried to set fire to the courthouse
yeah.
on the first protest.
Mhm.
But guy was stupid and he got arrested, so that's nice.
You went to one of the protests, didn't you?
I did. I went. I don't know if anyone else here has gone to one of the protests. I'm
I
hoping
haven't.
not.
I'm not allowed
But
to. Because of Corona. I'm just not allowed to.
I did go to a protest with a few friends and also a guardian, and I was holding up a sign right next to this cute little family. They looked really happy and such to be there and to be supporting their color. They were black,
Yeah.
and yeah, I was holding a sign, and I had the black fist that you've probably seen before painted on my face, and I look over to the family, and I see this man get shot right in the face with a rubber bullet. His wife
Oh,
started
Jesus.
screaming as loud as she could, and it was terrifying.
Yeah, you got shot in the
The
stomach.
guy
too, didn't you?
ended up falling into the street and had to be carried away into a ambulance, and I'm pretty sure that he got an aneurysm and died a few days later. But yeah, about 30 minutes after that happened, I got shot right in the chest, and it is one of the most painful things I've ever dealt with. Legit, it legit shot me right in the middle of the chest, and it felt like my lungs were being crushed. It legit felt like my ribs were turning and going straight into my lungs.
But
It
anyway,
felt terrible.
back to what I was saying, like before you described the entire thing. 8 minutes and 46 seconds, right? You know, a neck, a round little thing. You know how hard it is to kneel on a log? Like one knee on a log, the other in the air. You know how hard that is? Imagine doing that for 8 minutes and 46 seconds with someone struggling underneath you, saying they can't breathe. What kind of person, not even person, what kind of monster do you have to be to think that that's okay just because you're two different skin colors?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And not even just George Floyd. Yeah, the protests were caused by George Floyd's death because people had had enough of this
Yeah, but
bullshit that's
there's
going
been
on.
a lot of this bullshit.
Like, just a few weeks ago, before George Floyd died, a guy named Tony McDade, a black trans man in Florida, was brutally murdered by a police officer who was white. And yeah, tons of other people. I don't know if you guys know, I think his was Tommy, maybe wrong. This was in the 1990s. But this kid, right?
Mhm.
This poor, innocent kid was just taking a walk and later playing basketball. This cop had said that he had stolen a ball. And,
Oh yeah. I heard
sorry,
about this.
so one person called the cops on this boy and said that they stole his ball. And
It's a ball.
I
Yeah.
know, but the white person who did call on the boy ended up getting a fair trial that everyone should get, and the black boy didn't get a trial at all. He was sent straight to the electric chair. Mind
For
you,
stealing a ball?
A ball?
he
Oh.
didn't steal
What?
it.
Ball.
It was his.
Yeah, I know, but like,
But
no. See, what I'm saying is,
Mind
like,
you-
the court
Wait,
thought
for the
that he stole
electric
ball.
chair?
And,
Mind
isn't
you-
the death sentence illegal in like everywhere but Texas now?
no.
By electric
it's
chair
legal.
it is.
No, it's okay. Sorry. Yeah, this was in the 1990s. This wasn't 2000. But mind you, this boy was 14.
And he got sentenced to death.
And he got
to death.
sentenced to death for being accused of stealing a ball which was his.
It's pure bullshit.
It's a
And
ball.
not just him, not just George Floyd, not just Tony McDade.
But a bunch of people.
Ahmaud Arbery, guy was taking a jog at night, and these two white supremacists thought that he had stolen from a house later, like a bit back, and they shot him for no reason. Guy was just taking a jog because he was a track student, and he got shot and died. And let's talk about what our government is doing about this.
Can we get an F in the chat? I'm sorry.
Absolutely nothing.
I'm sorry.
They're doing nothing about it.
Nope.
Yeah, the government
The
is
only
like,
thing that's being done is Trump calling the citizens of the U.S. who are protesting peacefully, or some that are rioting, anarchists.
yep.
Oh my
Let me see
God.
if I can find the tweet.
In
Okay,
this in this article that not article in this tweet of Donald J. Trump's Twitter, it says, "In 3.5 years, I've done much more for our black population than Joe Biden has done in 43 years. Actually, he set them back big time with his crime bill, which he doesn't even remember. I've done more for the black Americans, in fact, than any president in the U.S. history, which is complete and utter bullshit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Our president is a racist, a rapist, and a pedophile,
And
and he should not be in office."
Mm-hmm.
Yet somehow he is probably. I wouldn't be surprised if he got reelected.
I wouldn't be
Yep.
surprised either.
He's probably gonna get reelected.
But hey, what's another 4 years of getting close to going into World War III?
But hey, guess what? There was this
Civil
cool little
War
thing,
II.
right? No. See, I learned this thing in history this year, and every year that ends with a 0, right? The president
Mhm.
has either had an assassination attempt or got assassinated. So if Donald Trump gets reelected, there's a chance that he go and he dead.
You're gonna get popped.
He gonna get popped.
But
I wouldn't be surprised.
I honestly believe that after a few months of the riots, and if the military continues gunning down innocent people at protests and such,
There's going
that
to be
our
like,
world,
yeah,
that are you,
I
our
honestly don't.
country,
there's probably going to be
is going to go into
something
Civil
close
War.
to the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
or if anything, revolution.
Yeah, or the Revolutionary War. Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Something like that
So-
is going to come.
The riots. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, what about them?
Okay.
What are your feelings on the riots?
I mean, the fact that, so, where I am, there were some people protesting. And they were in the road, right? And the police were like, yo, you should probably get out of the road. And what I heard was that, like, I just heard this from my dad, so I don't know how trustworthy it is, probably not. But I heard that, like, I haven't Googled it, but I heard, right, so don't trust any of my words. So, I heard that the, what's the thing? The police came up to him, they were like, yo, hey, you should get out of the road. And before they could, like, not even 3 seconds after that, the police threw tear gas at the protesters just peacefully standing in the middle of the road, and they were trying to move out of the way, but they couldn't. Like, before they even got a second warning, tear gas was thrown.
Yeah.
That's...
And
I hate when people disrespect me for saying ACAB or 1312, and they're like, well, not all cops are bad. Well, that's the thing. ACAB or 1312 doesn't really necessarily stand for cops. It stands for the governmental system and the system that cops have.
Mhm.
Because
and
while
yeah, that's true.
some cops are
Not all cops are bad. There are good cops.
people, their department doesn't allow them to be good cops, and that
The law is making it, like, impossible to be just, like, a decent human being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the fact, okay, I know we talked about this before. I don't care. You guys know, like, the worldwide thing that's going on right now. Yeah, we're in the middle of that. And this little orange sitting in the White House, literally doing nothing, is like, hey guys, I've come to a realization. You guys know that gay's bad? Yeah, we should stop
he's not
helping them.
helping the situation.
He's not.
He's just making it worse.
Right. Like,
Because,
we're talking about healthcare now.
we're talking about healthcare.
No.
Yeah.
yes. But we're also,
We're also talking about how bad Trump is.
yeah. The healthcare for the United States sucks.
It sucks ass.
Because even if you're not part of,
the
LGBT,
Yeah.
you can't. It gets
Healthcare is
okay.
still like really fucking expensive.
Yeah, you go to the ER because you think you're having, like, let's say, an anaphylactic shock,
What
but
the fuck? Did you just pull that out of your ass? What the fuck? Where? How do you pull anaphylactic shock out of your ass?
I don't know. I can't even say Tumblr. So,
Right?
all right.
Like this man stuttered on Tumblr the other night. I'm like,
Let's not get to that.
All right, so you say you're having an anaphylactic shock, and then you go to the ER, and you get fined for $1,000 just for them to say go home, drink some water, and come back and see how you feel.
I wouldn't call it fined. It's more of like a charged. But
Yeah, charged.
Yeah, you get charged for
Yeah.
like $1,000. Yo, go drink some water. It's like basically the
Yeah.
school nurse, but
It is.
more professional. Yo,
But-
put some ice on it.
Yeah, put some ice on it. You'll be fine.
Would you like some tongue?
Would you like?
Yeah,
some
and
Tums?
people who go to like hospitals for mental health help
Yeah, psychiatric
they give-
ward.
charge like millions of dollars just for at least a week, and
Yeah.
it's stupid.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, the thing about healthcare, it's a sad world in our country because if you want healthcare, you need to be loaded with money. Like you
Yeah.
could go into the ER
Yeah.
with about, and legit they'll be like, okay, he's fine. Just go tell him to go take some meds.
Okay.
Oh, and by the way, that's going to cost you
can we
about
take-
$7,000.
Can we take a quick break? Like maybe like a 3-minute break, real quick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yo, what the fuck is up, Kyle? Trump's gonna kill us all. Hi, welcome back to the podcast. So we're an hour and 10 minutes in. We've practically wrapped all this up. We've talked about healthcare. We've talked about 3 topics. We actually talked about like 4. We talked about Florida Man,
Yeah.
and now we're talking about healthcare.
Yeah.
So
I think
in
we
other words-
should. Oh wait.
we need to
Sorry.
wrap
Never
up.
mind.
So, in other words, basically, summary of the entire podcast: Florida Man funny.
We're
We're fucked. Trump